Welcome to Guitar Gavel, a place for people who love guitars. These are conversations with musicians, guitar enthusiasts, techs, and collectors about their guitar journey and their love of the instrument. Thanks for tuning in. Please hit the subscribe button, share with your friends, and be sure to sign up for our twice weekly newsletter at guitargavel.com. Hey everybody, welcome to the Guitar Gavel podcast with Frank Jeckell, podcast number 6. Frank, it is a pleasure to have you on the episode this evening. Thanks so much for your time. Thanks for being here. We've been hanging out offline for a good little bit now, and Frank's been schooling me as he has before in our last conversation about my lack of relative rock and roll trivia to Frank's expertise.
Cut you some slack, but thank you, Dave, for having me on your podcast. It's an honor and a privilege. I'd love to talk guitar, and I guess we're going to do that.
We're going to do that, and your guitar journey begins maybe differently than some, but with the accordion, which I find really fascinating. So I'll let you just start with the accordion history and go from there.
Sure. Well, as a youngster, I spent my summers at my grandmother's out in Pennsylvania, and country music was big in that time frame. I was born in 1946, so we're talking about 1951, 52, 53, the early 50s. And my aunts and one of my uncles played and sang regularly. They all three of them played guitars, and I was enamored with that, and I loved it, and I sang with them as much as I could. Fast forward to when I turned 8 years old, which would have been 1954. My dad says, "Would you like to play an instrument?" And I says, "Yeah, sure, I'd love to." He says, "What do you want to play?" "I want to play the guitar like my aunts and my uncle." He goes, "Well, Frank, your grandfather played accordion. I know you didn't know him because he passed when you were little. And I play a little bit of accordion. I'd really think that you should play accordion." So I said, "Oh, okay, all right." So we found an accordion teacher in Newark, New Jersey, where we lived at the time. And my mom used to drag me up there about 4 or 5 blocks for accordion lessons and wait until I got done, pay the guy, we went back. And this went on for better part of a year. And one day the teacher said, "Mrs. Jeckell, I hate to tell you this, but Frank is not interested in playing the accordion. He's motivated. He's really not paying much attention. He's learned it. I mean, he could play, you know what I mean? But he's not progressing. And just to continue to bring him here, you're really wasting your money." So all right, okay, so let me quit. And I still wanted to play guitar, but being 9 years old, there wasn't a whole lot I was going to be able to do about that. So fast forward a few years, my uncle, who was the guitar player, went in the Army. He was over in Germany. And in the summer of 1960, when I was just about to turn 14, he came back from the Army with a guitar. And he had bought it from another guy. And I don't know whether he intentionally wanted it for me, but somehow my dad gave him $25 and I got the guitar. It was a K acoustic guitar. It like a dreadnought kind of style with the blown front. I can't show it to you because I no longer have the guitar. I painstakingly learned, self-taught how to play on that guitar, but it was a difficult task because the guitar was the neck was warped, and the strings, you could, down around the middle of the guitar on the 12th fret, you could put your hand underneath the string. That's how much higher they were up. And to be able to even play the chords up near the neck, I had to put a capo on the first fret, which pushed the strings down far enough down to the fret, which enabled me to play the basic chords that you learn, when you're starting, the chords that are up at the top of the guitar. And I got better and better and better and better at it real quickly. And by almost Christmas time, I wanted to get an electric guitar because that's what I was interested in. My interest stemmed, I guess, my influences when I was learning at that time were Johnny Cash, of all people. I had a Johnny Cash album, and on there, a lot of the songs, I was playing along with the songs with no problem because they're not hard songs to play. And the lead guitar parts on Johnny Cash's songs are not particularly difficult either, so I could play those barely because when I got up past the fifth or sixth fret, I couldn't push the strings down because the guitar was terrible. And I was interested in the Ventures also. And I had a Ventures album with Walk Don't Run on it, which was a big hit in 1959. So I kind of hinted around that I could see I was loving the guitar. So they bought me a brand new Stratocaster, Fender Stratocaster, for Christmas in 1960. And that's when I took off. I learned all the Venture songs, and you progressed and kept progressing and progressing and progressing to be able to play fairly well. So that's my basic guitar story.
And go ahead. I don't want to cut you off. Excuse me.
I was actually looking for you to jump in and see.
Okay. Yes. Well, so the oftentimes our first guitars are junky, and not that we deserved a junky guitar, but it's what our parents could afford, or they didn't want to invest if
Sure.
it was a gift from your parents or Santa Claus or whoever, and something very nice until you show interest and your ability to stick with it. By playing on an old guitar with a warped neck and action that high, that's a blessing or a curse. And the curse part is for those that it hurts so bad it turns them away from the guitar and they never play. Now you stuck with it. Was it a hindrance, or do you think did that help you become a better player early on because of that? Especially when you when you went from that to the Strat, it was like butter, right? I mean, you didn't know what to do with yourself, I'm guessing, but that's your answer.
I guess that's a difficult question to answer. Because I had capoed the first fret, and the guitar was relatively playable for the next 4 or 5 frets because it hadn't gotten down to the point where the strings were very high. I really wasn't having that much trouble playing it. I was just having trouble playing it, up in the higher frets.
Okay.
So I didn't view it as a hindrance. I just viewed it as this is what it was, and made the best of it, I guess is what you might say. And because I was able to conquer the chords, the basic chords that are with the open strings that you play, the C and the G and the F and the D and the chords that are up at the very top of the guitar, and play them very well. I felt, that I was getting somewhere. And because I have a really good ear for music, I could put on a song would come on the radio, and I also sing a bit, and I could listen to the song once, especially the country songs of the day, which are pretty simple. Listen to it once, turn it off, and play it for you. Not perfectly, but recognizably, because I have a good ear. I can reproduce what I'm hearing. I know what the chords are. I go right to them without batting an eyelash, and that helped. So I was. I remember one song I was singing for my aunt and uncle they came to Linden, where we lived, to visit, and this was December before I got my Strat, and I was singing a song called Mule Skinner Blues by the Fendermen, and you have to put it on and listen to it. It's an interesting song. Write that down.
I am.
And I was actually doing a fairly decent rendition of it. I mean, vocally and instrumentally, which is probably, again, part of the reason why my parents were willing to go overboard to get me a guitar, because we really didn't have money to buy a new guitar. We did not. In fact, my father had to, I found this out later, had to take out a loan from his sister just in order to buy my guitar.
Wow.
So
That's pretty special.
yes, but she was my godmother, and I never forgot that. So
Yeah. Wow. So you're 14, you get the Strat, and I mean, what's next from there?
well, I just kept moving along, and starting to branch out and playing with other people. When I was 15 or 16, I was playing with various different bands and the local kids that I knew, garage band kind of things, and having a lot of fun, basically. The Beatles came out in '64. I was already 17 when that happened. Um, and I was dumbstruck by what they did. I still to this day think they're one of the very best, if not the very best band that there ever was. Just for me, from my perspective. Um, and I learned every song, every album that came out. I learned every song. I think the album would come out one day, but the next day I had it home. I played through both sides, and within 2 or 3 days later, I was playing all the songs. So
Wow.
it was just a lot of fun. Um, but I didn't like the color of the guitar, which is an interesting story. Brand new Strat. It was a few years old now. We're talking 64, 65. So the guitar was 4 or 5 years old. So I took it apart, sanded the finish off of it, and spray painted it, hanging from a hanger on a pipe down the basement of the apartment we lived in, blue. So I had the guitar blue. And after a few months, the blue just wasn't doing it for me anymore. So what I wanted was candy apple red.
Yeah.
That was cool. So again, sanded it all down and did a candy apple red application. That involves painting gold colored paint on the bottom, and then you paint clear red on the top, so the sparkles from the gold shine through the red. I don't know if you ever see those guitars; they look kind of sparkly, And that's how I kept it. And I also was a little disappointed in the guitar because the Stratocaster guitar, and I don't think Fender has changed this to this very day. Back then, it had a 3-position switch on it to select the pickups, and you either selected the bridge pickup, you selected the middle pickup, or you selected the neck pickup, and that's all you could do. Well, turned out if you were careful, you could jam the switch between the positions, and you could get the bridge and the middle pickup together. And if you jammed it down lower, you could get the middle pickup and the neck pickup together. So you really had 5 positions, and Fender realized that. And every Fender today that you buy, a Stratocaster, does have a 5-position switch that they gave it to you. But it's still lacking one important thing that I wanted. There's no way with the switch, no matter what you did with it, that you could get the bridge and the neck pickup to work together at the same time. It just wasn't there. None of the positions were going to do that. So I figured, well, I could fix that. So I found out which wires came from which pickups inside. I took it apart, etc. I drilled a little hole down the face of the guitar, put a little switch. And when you hit that switch, it would make the bridge and the neck pickups come together. And that ended up being the sound that I love the most. It has like I want to call it a bell kind of a sound. And it's very, very similar to what you get out of a Telecaster.
Okay.
A Telecaster only has 2 pickups, and it has a position in the switch where you get both pickups together. Well, that's what I wanted. I wanted those 2 end pickups together, the bridge and the neck, and the Telecaster came that way. So I suspect, I've never been able to really find out for certain, for sure, that Fender did not want to put that feature on the Strat because it would sound like a Tele.
Yeah. It hurt sales.
Yeah, or who knows what it would do, But I wanted it, and by golly, I got it. So even I don't have that Strat anymore. I ended up trading it off for another guitar, which we'll talk about that a little bit later. But I missed it so much that in 1979, about 4 or 5 years after I got rid of the Strat, I went over to a guitar store that was selling, used equipment over in New York City. It's not there anymore on 47th Street. It's called Accent Guitars. And I picked up a 1966 Stratocaster. So I had a 61 before, and I now have a 1966, and I have that here. And I put the switch back in, only I did it differently. Rather than drilling a hole in the faceplate, I put it in the tone pot. If you turn it all the way to one end, there's a click, and when it clicks and it's on off position, then the 5-way switch works normally, or the 3-way switch is still a 3-way switch, works normally with the pickups. But as soon as you click that off, you get the neck and the bridge pickups, and I'll be able to demonstrate the difference in the sound. I don't know if you'll hear it. I certainly hear it as we move forward here.
That's really cool. All right. A little echo there on my end. So you traded out, you got the newer Strat, you modified it as well. Did you stick with Strats for a while? Or were you starting as you got later? Yeah.
That's all I've ever played.
Okay.
I mean, I've played other guitars, but I've tried a couple of different models of Gibsons. I tried a Telecaster. I could not get used to the Telecaster because it doesn't have the contoured body. It's although they make them with a contoured body now, a normal Telecaster is straight on the edges, and I found those straight edges would dig into my chest. I could feel them. I could know it was there. It didn't feel comfortable because I was used to the contoured Strat that just sat right in there and didn't have that. So I had a Tele for a while, and eventually, interestingly enough, I traded that for a set of drums. Which I no longer have either.
Do you want to go ahead and pull out that Fender? Is it too early?
No,
we're right on the money here.
Okay. Here is my 1966 Stratocaster.
Mm.
And on the bottom, this tone control, you hear a little click here.
I did, yep.
That turning on the connector between the bridge and the neck pickup. Let me put it in the off position and demonstrate what the three pickups sound like. This is the treble or the bridge pickup. Helps to turn the volume control up. And this is the bridge pickup. Nice chord. And then this is the middle pickup. I'm going to go turn some of the reverb off because I think it's muting the tone of the guitar and you can't tell.
Sure. And I'll ask, as you're coming back to your seat, has your wiring job held up ever since, or have you had to rework it?
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
So here we go again. This is the bridge pickup. Here's the neck pickup. And here's the middle pickup. throw the switch, which connects the bridge and the neck pickup together. I don't know, Dave, if you can tell that I'm getting this bell kind of a sound now that I wasn't getting before, or maybe you can't. You know, it's a nuance. You know, I just like this sound.
Yeah, it leans a little to my ear. Well, you know, not a wonderful ear. Leans a little towards an acoustic sound.
Okay. Okay, what song is that? I know I promised I wouldn't do this.
Yeah, and I was focusing on the tone because it did once you started picking, it doesn't sound acoustic.
Nice cop out. I was just listening to
there
the
was
tone. I wasn't listening to the song, so I can't tell you what that was.
It's some Beach Boys. Yeah. But play the intro lick, and then I'll tell you the song.
I'll do it.
Yeah, one more time.
Same song.
Yeah. So I can name that tune and get it right.
This is pretty much exactly how it starts. Well, close. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, we're singing about the 409.
No. I gave you more of a clue. I gave you the intro words and everything.
Yeah, and she's got it.
I won't distract you. That's fun.
There we go. All right. Well, that was.
You know that song?
She's real fine by 409. You're right. I'm off. See, I'm delayed.
And she'll have fun. Now the daddy took the TV away.
Don't do that to me again, Frank.
Not for at least another 5 minutes.
There we go. Hey, but I mean, she's real fine by 409. Listen, I'm there. It's been a while since I've been on the beach.
I save my money and I save my time. So I could buy me 409.
There we have it. Perfect.
There we have it.
So
I don't care for that Beach Boy song that much, but that's neither here nor there.
It's all right. So the Strat has stayed with you the entire time.
Yep.
Since you've owned it. Have you had a lot of other Strats, or is this?
I have several. I actually don't take this guitar on the road when I do shows because it's just too valuable. I'm just afraid of it getting either damaged or stolen. So,
Sure.
So this stays in the closet. Matter of fact, I brought it out just for this show. I think it's the first time it's been out of the closet in 4 or 5 years.
Well, thanks for doing that. That's neat. That's special.
Yeah, no problem at all. My
So,
pleasure. I should keep it a little played a little bit anyway, right?
That's right.
Can't play it anymore.
I've got that one. Yes. Some song about heaven. Yeah.
Something about heaven?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'll give you that much. I'll give you that much.
I appreciate that. So, all right. So I don't want to go decade by decade, but you stuck with the Strat. It's your go-to. Any other crazy ones in the mix? 70s, 80s?
Interesting story about a guitar in 1971 or so when I got tired of the Strat at the time, and it was old and worn out. I had no idea it might become valuable later. I ran into the keyboard guitarist from my first band from 1964, 63, 64. Hadn't kept in touch too much, but I saw him and we're friendly, and we're chit-chatting, and he always admired the Strat. And he says, well, how about if we trade my Gibson Les Paul for your Strat? I said, sure. So we did the trade. And this particular Gibson Les Paul was actually an SG, for those of you out there that might know something about Gibsons. And it was the first year of the SG. And Gibson brought it out, and up on the headstock up here, it said Les Paul. And as soon as Les Paul caught wind of that, because it was totally different in style, the SG is totally different in style from the Les Paul model, that Les Paul had a deal with Gibson to use his name on it, and I guess he got some sort of royalty every time they sold one of those particular guitars. But I guess they thought they were going to pull a fast one on him and bring this guitar out, which was a totally different style. Stylistically, it was just different. It was contoured, etc. Are you familiar with the SG? Gibson SG? Yeah. Okay, then you know what I'm talking about. They thought they were going to bring this out and put his name on it, which will make it sell more and not have to pay him anything. So Les Paul's lawyers got on the phone and took care of that real quick. And by that time, the guitar was selling very well, and they decided to take the chance and just take his name off it and continue to offer it. And they didn't have a name for it. So they says, well, I guess it's a standard guitar, so we'll call it the SG. Did you know that? That's what that stands for?
I did, yeah. And then all the Japanese knockoffs later use the SG as solid guitar. Instead of a standard guitar.
So now I had this first year issue Les Paul, or SG, and my friend was not much of a guitarist. He was more of a keyboardist, so he hardly ever played it. So it was practically new. And I kept it for about 5 or 6 years, and I tried playing it, and it was comfortable to hold. But being a fanatic about the sound I get with the bridge and neck pickups, with the single coil pickups that a Strat has, I never really got excited about the humbucker pickups, which is what all Gibsons have. So even though I played the guitar, I used it on some club dates. I was playing weddings at that point in time, and it worked okay, and it was playable, played nice, but it just didn't sound like I wanted it to sound. I still preferred the Strat sound. So I put it in the case, and then I happened to run into a friend of a friend, and some guy was looking for one, and I sold it. And I sold it for $275, I think. That guitar today, the condition it was in, brand new in the case, would fetch north of $50K. And I sold it for $275.
It happens.
Yeah. Plus, not only that, I lost my 61 Strat that I had too at the same time. Which even if I had that still, even though I had repainted it, that had some value. Would have some value today.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah,
stuff happens.
You don't know this you don't know this at the time. What's going to happen, right? I mean, you have no clue. And you're not the only one with now. The first year SG, you may be one of the few that have a story like that. But lots of guys got stories about how they sold
my Gibson woes don't end there.
All right.
I had another friend that got out of the music business, and I was buying up some of his stuff, and I bought from him for I don't even remember what I paid him, maybe $200, a '74 Les Paul, which is also an extremely desirable guitar. But I hated that even more than the SG. Why? It was so heavy, and it had the straight edges on the no contours on the body, so it wasn't comfortable, and it had that horrible, humbucker sound that I didn't like. So I ended up selling that for $300 in 74, 75. So, and that guitar today is really valuable.
Yes. So moral of these stories.
Should have put them in the closet and forgot about them for that kind of.
That you and Gibson just really don't get along.
No.
Do you have any other good stories like that? The ones that got away that maybe shouldn't have?
Not guitars, but cars.
It's guitars, yeah, or cars.
I had a '66 Corvette, and in 1982, I was tired of paying the garage fees, and wasn't making enough money to keep affording. They kept raising the rates, so I put it up for sale, and I sold it for $4,500. And I don't know, I mean, it was in great condition, but it wasn't a showpiece by any means. In a showpiece condition, '66 Vet is 75 grand today. So even if I still had it and it wasn't showpiece, it would still fetch 40, 50,
Yeah, yeah. Hey, but you did better on the Corvette than you did on the SG.
Yeah, at least I got 4,500.
What others in the course of your
well in '67, I bought a Martin, a 0018, and I liked it. I loved it, but after a while, I got tired of it, and I sold it to my uncle, the same uncle that brought the guitar back from Germany. I sold it to his friend, and I'm sorry I let that guitar go because that was a really nice guitar. I should have kept it, but I didn't.
Well, you kind of returned the favor to your uncle in a way.
Well, I don't think he cared much. But I do have an interesting Martin today, and that is this little puppy. This is a Martin. I never remember the letters. I wrote it down. 000X1AE. And I think the AE stands for acoustic electric because it's got a Fishman pickup in here. And I think, hold your ears while I switch the plug from to this guy. Maybe. I can't get it out. Wow. Got to put the guitar now. The jack in the Stratocaster does not want to give up the plug.
Be gentle.
Yeah. I'm just pulling it out. Got it. Okay. This is just plain old acoustic sound. Now, let me tell you a little bit about this guitar. It is the least expensive model that Martin makes. You can still buy it today. The list price is somewhere in the neighborhood of $650, $700. I saw it come up on Craigslist for $275, and I went and bought it for $275. Great purchase. What's cheap about it? Well, the only real wood in the entire guitar is the face. That's Sitka spruce, and that's where all the sound in this guitar comes from, the face. The rest of the guitar is made from composite material, and you may not be able to tell by looking at it. And my wire is hanging up here. There we go. But it's all composite material, including neck. The neck is composite material. It's pseudo wood. It's not real wood. I don't even know what the hell it's made out of, but there's no wood. I mean, it's just is what it is. But apparently, a lot of the good sound of a Martin, of any guitar, acoustic guitar, comes from the the face.
Yeah.
Because this, besides being composite mostly, doesn't sound bad. And the Fishman pickup, when you factor that in, let's see if I can factor it in. Not bad.
No.
And it plays like a charm. I mean, I'll admit, I did have a luthier go over it and adjust a little thing here and there to get the action exactly to where I like it. And I learned something very interesting from this luthier, who was a really nice guy to share a little trade secret with me that I never was aware of. I was always under the impression that if a neck in a guitar does not have a truss rod, if it bows, it's done. You're done. Not so, because Martin didn't put truss rod in their guitars for almost 100 years. Yet those guitars are still around and they're still playing, and wonder how or why. Well, there's this little device that is available. It looks like you ever see those ironing boards that the cleaners use? Big long thing with the arm comes down and clamps on it. Well, imagine a small version of that that's just long enough to fit over the neck that clamps over it. He puts it over the neck, clamps it down, and plugs it in, and it generates heat. And the heat is not enough to burn the guitar, but it's enough to get the wood warm enough where the wood becomes more pliable. And given enough time, it's clamped down and it's being held in the perfect position. After enough time, the heat's taken off, and they don't take the clamps off yet. They let it cool down, and when they take it apart, it's back to normal again. So they actually get the wood to relearn its position to where it needs to be, and it stays. So it's amazing.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah.
A friend of mine bought a Martin D35, and it did have a warped neck just like that. And it wasn't horribly warped, but I mean, you could put your pinky under the strings down at the 12th fret. It was pretty warped, and he brought it back, and he brought it back to life, and the thing plays like a brand new guitar now. I mean, the action's perfect.
Is that a long process? Do you know?
I don't know how long it has to stay in the heat or how long it cools. I can't imagine it's more than, anywhere from hours to a couple of days, or maybe a week, but that can't be forever. It's
What I see another acoustic over your shoulder. What's behind you back there?
That. I don't know what you're looking at.
Next to the Strat. Is that a Mirage? Next to your Strat, is there another acoustic?
Oh, I didn't realize that down here in the corner you could actually see.
Oh yes.
The guitar down here. Oh, okay, yeah. That is a Guild D40 that I bought back in 1967, 69, thereabouts. There's a story that comes with that guitar. Let's get rid of the Martin. Or let's just put it down. We're not getting rid of it. Um, this is a guitar that has been through the war and came back again. Um, I had bought a pedal steel, and I was going to learn how to play pedal steel, and that didn't go well. Pedal steel and me, we just didn't get along. It was an inexpensive Fender pedal steel with 2 or 3 pedals, maybe 4 pedals in a small case. It wasn't much. And I heard from a friend, George, that worked at a guitar shop in town that he was looking for one. And I said, well, here it is. And he said, well, how much you want for it? I says, I don't know. I said, I paid like $350, $375 for it. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, I don't have that kind of money, but I've got a guitar that was really in sad shape that I resurrected from the dead. And he says, if you take a look at the front of it, I'm not quite sure if you could see it here or not, but if you look down, it's at the bottom here. If you look down here in the middle, you can see little marks where he actually put a piece of wood in and glued the guitar back together again. It was cracked, and it was cracked over here as well. There's a piece he put in there and fixed it. And the braces inside were coming unglued. He glued all the braces back in together again. So you would think you ended up with a pile of toothpicks for what it's worth. But I took it out and I played it, and it plays great with a pick in the strings. Let's take the pick out, and it to this day hasn't given me any trouble. It also has I don't know the state of the battery in it, but it has a pickup. I haven't plugged it in a long time. Let's see if it works. Oh, it does. So I keep it around because it's despite being through the war, it sounds and plays pretty decent.
It does sound good. It's a great looking guitar. I like the block inlays, and I always have loved the Guild pick guards, and they're just different. They're cool.
Well, there's a story about this pick guard. The original pick guard that was on here disintegrated in place, and basically it was destroyed. It was useless. And I searched for years to find the proper, correct replacement pick guard for this guitar, and I never succeeded in finding one. My luthier found this one. It's from a Guild, but it's not the right one for this guitar. You can just, if you look how it's on there, it's not really, it's not a perfect match. There shouldn't be a big space over here.
Okay.
This should not be here.
I see that. Yeah.
It doesn't quite. It's not symmetrical on the bottom edge.
Mm-hmm.
It's like different, funky. It doesn't quite follow the way it should. It shouldn't be. This shouldn't be like an arrow here. But it's somewhat good, but it's not quite the one that belongs to this guitar. Don't know why, but he went to Guild and they just didn't have it.
Well, it gives it character. Can I just get one right? Dust in the Wind.
Yes.
You know,
By who? By who?
Kansas.
Hey.
But you'll laugh. You'll laugh because for about the first 3 seconds, I was thinking it was Silent Lucidity, which is I believe Queensryche. I mean, I'm going way back. I was never a huge Queensryche fan, but just for a couple seconds, I thought that.
Yeah, don't even know that one. Since you're on a roll here.
Oh crap. When we started, didn't I tell you how late it was, Frank? It's just drawing a blank.
Can't even get the group on that one. They were pretty big.
Say that again. They
were pretty big. The group.
You know, it's just because I'm being put on the spot. That's it. I'm coming up with.
That's Norwegian Wood by the Beatles.
Okay. Yeah. We did a Beatles Name That Tune earlier several weeks ago, and I was like 1 for 4, maybe 2 for 5.
Well, how about this one? It's easier.
Should be Pretty Woman.
Oh, it's similar to Pretty Woman.
Okay. See, we're losing.
It's a Beatles song. Pretty Woman wasn't a Beatles song.
No, it was Roy Orbison.
Right. That's Pretty Woman.
Well, when you start banging out some Metallica, man, we'll start.
Well, see, now here's where we have a disconnect. I don't know a single Metallica song. I never got into metal.
It's okay. See, well, I had to do something to change the subject and get you back on track here and get me out from the
You ain't fooling. Maybe I'm not cool.
Some Zeppelin.
Zeppelin, yeah.
We're there. We're there.
What song? Never mind. I'm being tough on you here. It's a whole lot of love.
It's fine, and I don't mind you being tough. I've got thick skin. We're gonna rename like this podcast episode like David Fails. Name that tune.
If I could play it right.
What's the other guitar back there behind you?
I think we used them all up. That was long, cold woman in a black dress by the Hollies.
There we go. Okay, that was
someone's with that.
That was probably going to be my third guess, but that was not what I was thinking. So,
okay.
Well, remember when we're hanging out on the phone before, we did land on the Dillards. That was our musical connection, right? Yes. It took a while. Yeah.
There is a time for us to wander when life is good and time is free. Though it's hard to be over yonder, that's his moon, and so are we.
If I could sing, man, I'd jump in the harmony with you.
That's the Dillards, right?
Yes. Yeah.
That I know you know.
Yeah, that's in that. Yeah, I would, like I said, if I could have sang, I would have taken up a part there with you, but that would have just hurt everyone's ears bad had I done that. So, and I'm not really changing the subject, but you're still actively playing. Or I mean, I am changing the subject, but not intentionally to escape the name that tune failure.
That's okay. We got to talk about something. I think we kind of ran out of guitar talk for a while here. Unless you want to continue to for me to play with songs I know that you may not.
No, we're good. We're good. We can do that offline. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll do that when we hang up. I'll go pour a bourbon, and then we can just do that for as long as you want. I feel better about myself then. You're still playing. These are still your go-tos. I know we had talked before. You love the Martin. The Guild is a neat one as well. But it's been you basically Fender all the way, and definitely the Gibson relationships they didn't work.
Yeah. And the Strat that I played today, I lovingly refer to as a parts caster because it's a combination of one piece off a 1 year guitar and another piece off another year guitar. I bought in 2011, I think, Mexican Strat, Squire Strat, which everybody looks down their nose at, serious guitar people, because Squires are just garbage guitars, when the fact of the matter is some of them are pretty damn good. You just have to know what you got and what you get. So this Squire sounded really good. I liked the pickups they put in it. It had a really nice sound to it, and it had a different pickup combination than normal Strats. It had a single coil in the neck position, a single coil in the middle position, but a humbucker in the bridge position. Now, I know I don't like humbuckers, but this wasn't the same kind of humbucker as a Gibson. It just wasn't. It just didn't have the muddy capability that the Gibson had, although it probably could get it with the right settings. But the guitar just sounded really, really good. But I couldn't play it. The neck was not good. The Strat, the frets were mounted into the fingerboard too high. They were up off the board too high. So when you go to push a string down, your finger would go down deep in between the two frets, and it wasn't comfortable, and I just didn't like it. And so I put it in the closet. I figured I'm just not going to play that. In the meantime, I talked to an old friend who I had sold a 1980 Strat to back in 1982, 83. And he had changed out the neck on the Strat because he did. And I told him, how much I loved the sound of this guitar, but the neck was terrible. And we got to talking about the neck that he had swapped out. I said, "You don't still have that neck, do you?" And he goes, "Well, yeah, I do." It's, "What are you going to do with it?" "Nothing. I'm going to give it to you." So he gave it to me. So I went to my luthier with neck in hand and this guitar, and I said, "Can you put this neck on that guitar?" And that's my go-to Strat now, because that neck plays nicely.
Yeah,
and I like that.
And it won't cost you a fortune if something were to happen to it. Yeah.
Cost me. I mean, literally, the neck was free. The guitar I bought off of Craigslist for $160, I think it was, and it cost me maybe $80 to have the luthier put the neck on for me. So I mean, I'm not really into the guitar very much at all.
Yeah.
But I think it sounds really, really good. The pickups really sound really, really great. It plays nicely, so I'm happy with it.
What about, do you have a guitar that got, sorry, little echo here. There we go. Audio levels adjusting. One that got away, or a bucket list guitar? I mean, is there, if you could just have the one, maybe you have the one. I mean, it kind of
No, I don't. What I still want is a top of the line or higher up the line Martin. I still, that's what my aunts and my uncles played when I was 5 years old. They still have, my uncle still has a Martin. My aunt's unfortunately passed, but my cousin has her Martin. And I still love the Martins. And I just could never come into my mind to terms with spending $3,000, $4,000 for a guitar. Um, but I can afford it. It's not like it's going to break me or anything. But I don't play enough anymore to really warrant having that guitar. So it's probably going to remain a dream.
That's okay. That's what
Yeah.
dreams are for, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and
Plus,
you've got you
plus I got my inexpensive Martin, so I've got a Martin.
you take yeah, you hit the checkbox. You've got a Martin.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, anything else that we maybe didn't cover that I forgot to ask, or that's your story? You're sticking to it.
Well, I had another interesting guitar which I would have shown you tonight, but I actually recently just found a buyer for it. So I sold it about a month ago. Um, it was a Chet Atkins Gretsch Country Gentleman.
Mm.
It was a '67 model, 1967. I bought it in '71 and had it all these years. And I would play it once in a while. It sounded great, but it had a feature that drove me nuts. The bridge wasn't firmly attached to the guitar. It was the weight of the strings that would hold the bridge onto the guitar. So if you stretch the strings, there's a possibility the bridge would slide, which just was annoying, very annoying. Not that I stretch the strings tremendously, but when I want to stretch the strings, I don't want the bridge going wacko all over the place where it wants to. And the intonation, because the bridge floats, it's very easy to knock it out of intonation where it's not, where it should be, and where you're up on the 12th fret, the strings it's out of tune. The strings are out of tune because it's not positioned exactly where it should be. So that sat waiting for a buyer, and I ran into somebody who was interested in it, and I sold it.
And I bet he was enthusiastically interested in it as
Oh
well.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes. Uh, and likely that buyer knew what they were getting into, but if he didn't, you didn't spill the beans to him. Did he say, "Hey,
Yeah.
why are you?" Yeah. Yeah.
I also own a 1962 Fender Precision bass. That's not a guitar, but that's a bass.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And is that back in the closet, or do you pull it out
Well,
every?
I can show you that. It's right
Yeah.
behind in the case. Yeah. Funny thing about this guy is it's in a Gibson case. That's what I happen to have. Here's my 1962 Fender Precision bass.
There we go.
It's for sale if anybody's looking to buy one.
Stand by me. Stand by me. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you very much. Don't we're going to end on a positive note, just for the record, so we're good. Thank you.
that's when I can't test you on any more songs. That means
That's what that means. Yes. Yeah. And thank you for the layup there too. I appreciate it.
I'm a mind reader.
Yes. If that's for sale, after this episode airs, I will let you know if anyone reaches out to me for sure, because
Absolutely.
yeah, and hopefully someone does. So, what's the story on this one, Frank?
Um, I also play bass on occasion when the opportunity presents itself, and I don't turn it down. Somebody who needs a bass player and I'm available, I'm there. So I always wanted to have a bass around. So this came up available for sale around 1970. So I picked it up and I've kept it ever since. That's the story on this one.
Yeah.
I also have a Beatle bass, which is a little easier to handle and play because it's got a shorter string length. So I kind of enjoy playing that too.
Do you have that one handy as well?
Of course.
I don't want to deny the low enders and bass enthusiasts. And my bass player friends, I can already hear him complaining that it's towards the end of the podcast that we get to the bass guitars, but that wasn't intentional.
Sure. Oh. Come on, little bass. Come out here. Not left-handed though, so I can't play in any Beatles tribute acts.
What year is this?
I'm absolutely not sure.
Okay.
I picked it up when a friend of mine was moving to Florida about 5 years ago. So it's got to be at least 10 years old, maybe older. I don't even know if there's a serial number on it to look it up. I don't see any kind of identification on it. As far as could be hidden somewhere that I'm just not aware of. So, but I have it for playing. I don't have it for collecting. I have it for playing.
Yeah. Is that a Hofner?
Yes.
Yep. Cool.
B series or something.
Yeah.
For Beatles.
Mm-hmm.
For Beatles. Actually it says B bass iron series is what it says, or icon series. I'm sorry, I can't read upside down very well. I think you could probably see that.
Yeah. There we go. Yep. It looks great.
Yeah, it's in very good condition. Yeah, he had two of them, and he didn't need to take two of them to Florida when he relocated down there, and so I picked this one up from him.
Nice. Yeah, check in with him and ask him how that humidity is treating his other one.
Yeah, good question. I don't think he plays much anymore. He's these days he's into bowling. He's a very, very, very good bowler, and he was on his way. Last time I spoke with him, he was on his way to Las Vegas to some tournament.
Wow, he's pretty legit. That's great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, pull this out here, man. All right. Are there any other honeys back there that I'm missing?
Well, the only other guitar I have is a Takamine acoustic.
Yes.
But that's relatively new. I say new. It might be 20 years old. I've had it for 20 years. I've had it out of the case 10 or 15 times. It plays nice. I like it, but I'm fine with the Martin. I don't need to bring it out to use it. It's still got the sticker on the pick guard. That's cool. How new it is. So there's no wear at all.
That's great. Hey, look, you relatively speaking, a minimalist, and you know what you like and what sounds good and what plays well for you, and you don't need 37 others.
That, and I don't have a large area in which to display a significant number of instruments and endless funds in which to pick them up. Otherwise, the story might be different.
Sure. Yeah. The funds gets a lot of us. That's very understandable. Yeah. Well, fun. Well, Frank, I think we'll call it wraps from here.
I hope that I was interesting, at least anyway.
You were definitely interesting, Frank. Frank. Really appreciate it. I mean, really such a pleasure. And again, I started this with saying thank you for your time. Thanks. No one else knows it's not tremendously late on a Tuesday night, but it's starting to get up there. Hence why I was missing all the name that tune songs, of course. But again, thanks so much, and enjoyed, the first time we chatted, and really have enjoyed this conversation this evening, and maybe we'll do another round at some point. There's another podcast for a different line of stories with Frank Jeckell, and maybe we'll do that like part 2 another time.
Sure. Maybe you could get Eric Clapton on that one with me.
Okay. Once this blows up, that shouldn't be a problem. No worries, Frank. We're good there. Just give it another couple months. Listen, thanks so much, man. I'm going to hit the stop button and hang out for a second.
Thank you very much, David. I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I was able to spend some time with you.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to the Guitar Gavel podcast, and a special thanks to Steve Kuykendall for composing this music and being such the great guy and friend that you are. As a reminder, hit the subscribe button and sign up for our twice weekly newsletter at guitargavel.com.